Black music is the Black experience through music.
It's erotic and it's spiritual, you know, it embodies who we are.
Soul music is not just R&B music. It could be rock, it could be hip hop, it could be, you know, folk, it could be, you know, country.
We want to hear the best out of all those genres, the best out of hip hop, the best out of jazz, the best out of soul.
A bridge between the musics.
That whole vibe is like the Atlanta vibe.
Going into primarily the 90s, that was like, you had almost a free pass to be individual. You know, it was a time that I think artists and people had a consciousness.
It was just a flowering of all this expression.
It was like musical heaven.
It was an incredible experience because expression was celebrated.
Soul went away.
We come from a plethora of R&B bands to zero.
Multinational corporations to co-opt Black music in every facet, every genre of music. You see them.
All the soul got soulless.
Soul is something that you can't copy.
It's a neglected demographic out there.
It's funny when he tagged it neo-soul.
Labels were labeling, and if you didn't have a label, they didn't know what to do with you.
When my music came out, the term neo-soul was born.
Erykah Badu told me, you're the king of neo-soul. What is neo-soul?
These are ingredients that we've had before. It's just that the power at B had to figure out how to contain it.
Within 10 years, you're being told if you're not a certain type of Black artist, then you're not Black enough. You're too weird, or too bohemian, or too artsy, which is absolutely ridiculous.
We created something which was classic.
I had problems with those categories.
They got marginalized.
It divided our movement.
That's how jazz was big in the 20s. That's how rock and roll became big in the 50s. It's called commercialization.
Figure out who controls this stuff, who pulls the strings.
See, what we looking at now, we ain't ready for it.
Something very deep and very powerful.
It really has helped to destroy Black music, American music across the board. That's what's happened.
It still has absolutely revolutionized the music world. What would it have been if it wasn't filtered? We might be in another consciousness.
We should never confuse Black music that's filtered through the recording industry with Black music that's spilling over in a variety of different ways.
There's a need for change.
Early 90s is like, that's when we started making records. It's also just the start of kind of music getting its light in Atlanta.
There was this new lane that was being created. It wasn't your classical, typical R&B.
It was live and it was organic.
It was a funk-based urban sound.
A lot of cutting-edge jazz mixed with hip-hop, rock, you know.
With that, you got a fusion sound that came about in Atlanta.
A lot of cool stuff was going on in the early 90s, 94 especially, I say.
We now got the pulse of the whole nation. And really, the struggle element, the hope and the struggle element of the entire globe. You have a bunch of young, naive people who want to change the world.
Mind is blown, dog. My mind is absolutely blown. But when we walked in, you know, it's funk jazz, we're like, funk jazz.
You know, oh, are you here for funk jazz? You know, oh shit, funk jazz is the shit.
Funk jazz was an absolute phenomenon.
Funk jazz is our Paradox Garage. It's our loft. It's our warehouse, Chicago. That's it for Atlanta. That's it.
It was exotic and it was international and it was Black people personified or Black sound. You know, so that was just encompassing something bigger and something broader.
Funk jazz was the only environment that welcomed and embraced a talent like a young Erykah Badu, or a young Jill Scott, a young India.Arie, a young Van Hunt, but nobody knew these people.
Funk jazz met the need to bring things together within the soul community, the Black music community.
So many different things and so many different vibes.
Before you even knew who was coming to the event, the vibe had been so solidified. The quality and the standard of what you were going to get was so solidified to the public that you literally were going to go without knowing who you were going to see.
the crowd that you have is the neglected demographic in the entertainment field right now.
And you feel like you're singing in front of people who understand what it is, what your music is.
And people always appreciated what you did there.
Doing it with a line outside still, or having to turn people away.
Well, that helps you identify that you have a movement. This is it. I'm looking on stage, I seen the flag.
Right.
I'm like, this is like a movement.
A movement, know that.
When it was respected and recognized elsewhere outside of the city, it gave the city, respect for itself. I just remember people being inspired and informed, uplifted, educated, and entertained all at the same time. The funk jazz, community did that and offered that. It was very homegrown.
It's a refreshing of thought and mind and art and progression steering us.
I guess a Cotton Club vibe in Atlanta, but a modern day version.
I literally got these conversations in London. I had it in Ethiopia. It is a worldwide community.
So many of us, went through that stage and broke on that stage. Then it became like you weren't there to see who was the shit. Like, let's see who the new cool is. If they don't stamp it out of here, then it ain't authentic.
It was a power to be deemed worthy.
And so when you have people clamoring to be a part of something, you got something special.
Man, that was a magnificent audience, a magnificent opportunity.
Just for y'all to be doing it 10 years and have this kind of pour out, means that it's been, you've been offering a lot to these people.
It's definitely God, moving through that, that event and that whole time period.
That's what, drove me to FunkJazz Kafé. Doing a lot of energetic things that go beyond the stereotype and people have to look up at it.
We're gonna be creative.
We just need to push the emphasis.
To keep making black music, make it stronger than ever.
It's a lot of trials and tribulations that go with it.
But funk jazz was like all that dope music somebody used to give you at the record store somewhere or tell you about that you didn't hear on the radio, and you'd be like, how come people aren't playing? Funk jazz was the place that got those artists to come and perform.